There was someone in the last few weeks who told me that they were afraid to preach the gospel because they thought that they weren't good enough. And I just wanted to take some time to give myself and to give you all an encouragement by telling you that you're never going to be good enough. The truth is that Christianity, our faith in Jesus, the gospel spreading, it doesn't depend on how good we are. It doesn't depend on our intelligence. It doesn't depend on our ability to preach. It doesn't depend on our ability to work with words. It only depends on the goodness of God. It only depends on the gospel itself being true and the gospel itself being whole and being good. All we are is instruments in the hand of a powerful, divine, wonderful God. And he is good enough. We're never going to be good enough. Paul himself, probably the greatest preacher of the gospel of all time, said about himself that he is the first among sinners. He said that God placed a thorn on his side so that he wouldn't fill himself with pride. And now we don't know what that thorn on his side was, but we can assume that he was wrestling with something, that he was struggling with something. Maybe it was a sin that he was struggling with, realizing that he himself is not good enough, but he is preaching the gospel still. I, for myself, catch myself struggling with things. I catch myself sinning sometimes, and I'm so disappointed with myself. Just the other day, I found myself being jealous of somebody. And I was like, oh God, really? Am I still dealing with things like this? Am I still dealing with bouts of jealousy? Sometimes you think you're over something, and then you keep struggling with it, and you keep putting it back into the hands of God. And he is good to get you away from these sins. He is good to heal you of these sins. He is good to set your mind on good things. But we will continue to struggle. We'll never be perfect as long as we are living this life. We will always be struggling with our holy nature and our sin nature. We'll never be good enough to preach the gospel, but we should do it anyways. This is what we are called to do. And you don't need to be super adept at preaching. You don't need to be a theologian. You don't need to be a pastor to preach the gospel. All you need is what Jesus has done in your life. Your testimony is powerful, so powerful. This is what people can relate to, and you can use it to announce what Jesus has done. You can use it to announce the resurrection. And this is amazing. Anybody who belongs to Jesus can do this. So I want to encourage you, don't be afraid of preaching the gospel. Do it. Be a light in the darkness that is your work environment, that is your family. I know that a lot of us have family members that don't even know about Jesus, that don't know Jesus. You can use your relationship with them to just share what God has done in your life, to share the good that he's done in your life, how it's made a difference. To the person that was speaking to me the other day, to myself, to all of you, we don't need to be the best of Christians to preach the gospel. We are all sinners. We are all imperfect. And this is how God uses us. He uses us in our imperfection to heal us, and he uses us to preach the good news that we are free from sin because of the good and holy God that we serve.